There's real hard days, but I work through them. I also have like people I love, and I have a place, and I pay my bills, and I have the job that I work at. You could literally not pay me to go to my jobs earlier, you know? my whole life was just drugs, and now I have things that I enjoy. My life is pretty good.
Sure.
And I don't want to let that go either.
Welcome to Into Action, brought to you by Touchstone Recovery Center. This month, we're speaking to Kori H. Kori works at our inpatient facility. She's a woman in recovery. She is pretty awesome, and I think you guys will agree. Kori has worked at our inpatient since the day it opened. And over the last year, she's helped a lot of people, especially, when a person gets to inpatient, they're usually on their worst day, if not their worst, like close to it. And seeing them through that first month and getting them to where they're stable and getting them to the next phase in their recovery is a really tough job that not many people can do well. And Kori's done a great job of it. She's now a lead. She is like the point person for Yannick, our program manager, who's been on the show. And I'm really glad to have Kori on to share her story with everybody. So hi, Kori. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I wanted to ask, because I know I've known you for the last year plus, and I don't know a lot about like your journey. So I know you've been to treatment. I know now you work in treatment. I don't know much else, So I wanted to hear, like we do on this show, I wanted to hear your experiences with addiction when you were younger and how it progressed through the years, and then how you stay sober today. So I guess my first question is, how was your childhood? Did you have experiences with addiction? What did you learn? That kind of thing.
Okay, so I actually grew up in a house with addicts. My mom was battling her own addiction, but I didn't know it. I was little.
Yeah.
She still did everything that a mom needs to do, but she struggled.
Sure.
It wasn't always pretty. She did go to rehab when I was young, and she got clean. She's still clean.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she's got like 36 years, some shit, stuff like that.
You can cuss.
Excuse me.
So she went to rehab when you were young. Did she do like the 28-day?
She did.
Yeah.
I thought she was in Hawaii.
Got it.
Yeah, that's the story that my sister and I were told.
She went to Hawaii for a month.
Yes.
And got better.
Would have been nice.
But they have treatment in Hawaii, actually. So it's
Well,
possible.
I lived in Hawaii, and the treatments there are expensive. Like, they're all like resorts. And, like, we definitely couldn't afford resorts.
Got it.
Yeah.
So she went, and she's been sober since?
She has.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing really good. And then my story starts more with, like, when I was little, I was molested, like many people in the rooms. Mm-hmm. And that, like, gave me this sense of dread and, like, shame. Like, if people saw who I really was, they were going to reject me and be angry.
Sure.
And that feeling of not being good enough and not belonging really stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And then when I was about 13, I think, a boy came along with a bag of meth. And it was a small town, and I was bored, and I didn't like anything, and I tried it, and I had arrived, It felt really good because I didn't care anymore. And then very quickly it got out of control. I found myself pregnant when I was 16. I did quit while I was pregnant, and I quit, I didn't start again until she was a couple years old. But once I started again, it was just right where I picked up or had left off.
Sure. Was it mainly amphetamines, or was it like a mix?
It was meth at first, just like that was the only thing that was available in that town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that I knew of. It just went crazy. Like I was, I think, probably 60 pounds lighter than I am now. I thought I looked great because I had like hip bones, but looking at pictures now, I looked sick. So everybody must have known what was going on, but I thought nobody could know. I was sneaky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy to hide stimulant addiction. I know when I would use that stuff, I could not hide it. I would hide from anyone who knew me because they would know if I was on it,
Well, I'm a nervous, like an anxious person in general. So like you add methamphetamines and I am, I am a mess, like a big mess. It's not cute.
But it gave you that confidence, like it made you, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually when we use our drug of choice, like it makes us feel better. It makes us stop worrying about like life and all the stuff that comes along with life, all of our, insecurities. It all just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
And then, so we do it again and again and again.
Yes. But then it stops helping. Like it starts making problems, but then I couldn't, I had no choice at that point. Like I could fall asleep anywhere. So I was like, I don't want to fall out. I'm going to get more. I'm going to do more.
Sure.
I ended up crashing a car. I hit a pole, flipped it several times.
How old were you then?
I think I was 20, 21, but it wasn't good. And that's when like everybody was like, we know what's going on. You need to get help. So I went and got a 30-day program. It was a terrible facility. I won't name it, but like they had phones in the house that we could use and like the gates were open. So like there was a lot of drugs in the house. So I didn't really quit, but I did find heroin.
Got it.
So that's what I got from that treatment center.
You went to treatment and then got addicted to heroin while you're in treatment.
Yes.
Wow.
It was nice at the time because I was calm. It was the first time like I feel like my brain had just let me be. The thoughts stopped racing. I stopped doubting myself. That like I really stopped caring. I mean, I cared about things, but I didn't let it bother me. The first time I used it, like it was IV, so it hit fast, and it was like I still couldn't imagine a better feeling, but it went away really fast. And, I did that for like 15, 17 years. We did geographic changes because I was like, I'll get clean if I move to a new town. But, we do what we do, and you find it real fast.
Yeah, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah, give me a half hour and $30 and I'll go get myself a shot.
Sure.
But it put me in a lot of dangerous situations. I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of. I did anything that you need to do to get the next
Keep
fix.
your addiction alive, yeah.
Yeah. When I say like anything, whatever you just imagined, like that was it,
So that was in your 20s and your early 30s.
Yes.
And I know with opiates, I could never stop. Like I literally could not stop. I would do anything to get my fix. I did a lot of things that like are just way outside my moral compass doesn't even come close to those things. And I would set aside what I knew to be right and wrong, and it just didn't matter until I got what I needed. And then I'll worry about that stuff later,
Yeah.
It seemed to be, it just controlled my life. And I know that's true for a lot of people that get hooked on opiates. We see it with alcohol. We see it with benzodiazepines. We see it with pretty much every drug of choice, that especially, though, the ones that are physically addictive, like
Yes.
alcohol, benzos, heroin. They just lose themselves into those things, So I understand.
Yeah, I would have done anything to avoid the sickness.
Yep.
When I first started and I'd get a tummy ache, I was like, oh, this is okay. By the end of it, though, like I couldn't do anything. I was sick.
Sure.
There was a lot that happened. Like I don't want to go into like all the shit, but like I've been robbed, I've been beat up for no reason, I've been beat up for good reason. I don't want to say kidnapped because I went to the place on my own, but I was aggressively invited to not leave a place for a few days.
I'm laughing, but that's
It was I'm here, I made it, so
Sure.
I can laugh at it now.
So that was in your mid-30s.
Yes. That was in Hawaii.
It's tough to get out of that life, and usually the only way we do it is like intrinsic motivation. We have to want it for ourselves. That's usually not how we start, though, right? Like, most people that come into Touchstone, it's not because they called and they want to admit into treatment. It's because their mom or their wife or their kids call and say, my mom needs help or my brother needs help. Can you please help them? And then like guilt brings us in at first. At least that was true for me. And I see it over and over here at outpatient, at our inpatient facility, where people aren't coming in because they want to. They're coming in because they kind of have to.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened? Is that why you
For
got
sure.
it? Yeah.
I just got tired. Everybody was very angry with me. I think my daughter was like 16 by the time that I wanted to go to treatment.
Sure.
I had disappointed her a lot. Like, I won't talk about her because that's her story. And I've tried to make up for like the things that I did. I'll never be able to like forgive myself. I don't know if she'll ever, like, damage was done.
Sure.
I hurt everybody. My parents kind of cut me off because they were tired of watching the patterns. And like you said, like when you show up to treatment, it probably is one of the worst days of my life. You don't come in on a winning streak.
Yep.
I went to another program here in town, and as soon as I got there, I AMA'd. They let me come back. I AMA'd again. I found myself, like, I'm not from here, and I was brand new here. I found myself on Blackstone. I was walking by like the Motel 6, and I got somebody beat me up. I mean, they dragged me into a hotel room. I think the plans were worse, but
Yeah,
so I
Blackstone's
ran,
rough.
like physically ran back to the house. And so they took me back a third time and then a fourth time. And the owner of that place kept telling me, like, you need long-term treatment. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I can do this. But I couldn't pass 30 days. So the fifth time I asked to come back, he said no. And I hated it, but I think it ended up saving me. They sent me to San Diego to a mental health facility. It was like an inpatient rehab, but it was way more focused on mental health. Like,
Sure.
they covered drugs, but that's when I figured out, like, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And we were trying to, figure out if the mental health issues led to the drugs or the drugs led to the mental health issues. I don't think we ever figured it out. They were definitely coexisting.
Sure. That's true a lot. It's what came first, the chicken or the egg argument.
Yeah.
And I mean, most of us, and I know I do, but most of us that struggle with substance use have some underlying issues that either we're self-medicating for, we don't really know that we have them, we're just missing something, or we're not sure what it is. So, I mean, I think dual diagnosis is kind of par for the course. Like,
For sure.
there's not many people, I don't really know of any, that alcohol is your problem. That's it, or heroin is,
Yeah.
you're just
Even if-
addicted to heroin.
Even if you start that way, like, by the time that you're coming to rehab, there's issues. There's
Sure.
anxiety or depression or whatever it is, but it's also hard to diagnose somebody that's on drugs.
Yeah, you can.
So I missed all the signs. Like, now looking back at it, I'm like, that makes sense.
How long were you in treatment down there?
I went there for 8 months. It was supposed to be a year, but about 8 months. Like, I needed to go back to my daughter and back to my life. And they let me go with their blessing. I did not AMA, but I stayed clean since. I like March 17th, 2021 was the day that I got clean. And
Coming
since
up on
then,
3 years.
yeah,
Almost there.
almost 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah. And sometimes I can't believe, like, because I used to wake up every morning and try to do a shot to get through the day, obviously, or through a few hours. I have no veins left. If you can see it, I shot it. So I would sit in the bathroom on the floor, which is already gross, just stabbing myself. Like, I just can't. It's sad to me that was what my life looked like. When I came out, I looked like I had murdered somebody. There was blood everywhere. And I'm very, very grateful that I don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
My, like, nature is to want to use. I would be lying if I said that it's easy or I don't think about it now. But I never want to detox again. I don't ever want to feel withdrawals again. And I actually enjoy most days. I can't say all days, but I think for years I didn't enjoy anything. Like, I was just functioning on what I had to do. I just get to, like, live a life now.
Sure.
And so many good people helped me along the way that I don't know how to repay them. And so, like, being able to work in this field, I can pay it forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it is terrible to go to detox sometimes, but it fixes you. Like, it's a good start anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you had mentioned a second ago is, like, you didn't really enjoy anything for a long time. You didn't have a good day. I think after years of using, like it's like almost like we live in the gray area, we don't have highs anymore. We don't have lows. We're just living in that gray zone where everything's just okay, But I've noticed since getting sober, like I really enjoy my highs are really good. Like, the birth of my son, getting a job, whatever. It's like I feel proud and I'm happy about it, and it makes me feel like fulfilled. But then the lows, on the other hand, I have to feel those now, and it's hard. I still have bad days just because we're sober, but I'm able to get through it. And I know, like, put one foot in front of the other. This too shall pass. I'm gonna get through it, and then I get to live my life and feel those highs and lows. Years of using didn't allow me that. I just was kind of there. And it sounds like you experienced something similar.
Yeah, and the lows are so much lower when you're using. Like, it gets dark. Very dark.
When you run out of stuff.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And, like, every night you're thinking, I will quit in the morning. And as soon as you get up, you're like, I'm not quitting today.
Yeah.
As soon as you start to feel bad.
I started that young. Like, when I was in high school, I would overdrink, and I'd make a jackass of myself at some party, and I would promise myself I'm never going to drink again. Mm-hmm. I did that. I started doing that early, and I never kept that promise to myself, but I did it over and over. And then, yes, you're right. When I was addicted to Norco and Vicodin and every opiate I could get my hands on, every day, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to taper off of this stuff. I have 20 pills left. I'll take 5 tomorrow. I'll take 4 the day after that. I planned it out in my head, right? And it just never worked. I took all 20 the next day, and then I'd figure it out, Yeah, it's pretty sad. It's kind of cool. Well, it's very cool now that, like, when we make a promise to each other, to ourselves, we get to keep it.
Yeah.
We get to, keep it and try and, not just brush it off like, no big deal.
Yes. And I don't do anything where at the end of the day I can't tell the people I love about it.
Sure.
Which hiding 90% of my life was not good. The shame was pretty intense.
Sure. Lewis told me that when I first got sober, he told me something along the same lines, but he said, if you can't tell your mom about it, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Because I forget what the conversation was. I was hiding something from my mom, and he basically slapped me upside the head and was like, what are you doing, dummy? If you can't do it with your head held high, don't do it. Yeah. Which I can relate. That's good. Good advice.
Yeah. My mom used to say, if you can't tell your dad, you shouldn't do it, when we were little. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of in my head the whole time. Yeah. And I don't do anything now. Like, when you ask me at the end of the day, what did you do today? I usually either worked or I stayed home, but I didn't do anything that I can't tell you, and that feels really good. Sure. Like, I have nothing to hide. It's a strange feeling, but it's good.
For sure. It makes life easier, too. Like, you don't have to remember the bullshit lie that you told yesterday.
Yeah, and the lies got ridiculous. Like, things that, looking back, I'm like, why did I think anybody would believe this?
Because you get to hear those now, mm-hmm. working in treatment.
And some of the stories that I've been told, I'm like, there's no way I would have said that, but...
I wouldn't have even said that.
And the web, yeah. It was not... It was terrible.
So you're going on 3 years. That's awesome. How many tries? I guess my question is, to get to 3 years, I guess it wasn't your first try. Your first try was when you first went to treatment, and then you ended up on heroin. Yeah. So how many relapses did you have? Could you count them?
If we're only counting from relapses after treatment, because the first one doesn't really count, because I was using almost as soon as I got there. Sure. And I was forced into it. Like you said, I wasn't there for me. I never hit that point because I got drugs. Mm-hmm. So it really started when I went to the program here. So it would have been 4 relapses, but on my own, I can't count. I could only quit for I'd get to maybe day 2, and by then the withdrawals were so bad that I had no choice.
Yep.
I did the same thing you did, though. I'd try to ration things out, and it didn't work.
Nope.
My plans never stuck. No, it does not.
Yeah, I hear that sometimes still, like on admissions calls where people will say, I got this. I'm going to detox on my own. And I always think, like, you are so full of it. But, I mean, I believed when I said that. I believed it. I believed I can do this, and I just never could. And now looking back, it's like, you're crazy. There's, you're in full-blown addiction. You have a bag full of pills. You're not going to stop. Like, give me a break. So when I hear people say that, I always think, man, he's just not ready. Or
yeah, I mean, they want it. Like, I wished it was true that I could do it on my own. I wished I had that power. I didn't want to admit that I was bad enough to need to go to rehab.
Right.
But, I knew somewhere in my head that I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, you got sober in rehab, and that's difficult. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people aren't able to get sober and end up dead, or maybe end up in jail or prison like I did, and that's where we get sober. Yeah. It's commendable. Like, you always have a choice. Just like right now, we have a choice. We just choose, like, the evidence has told us that life is better without it. At least it's told me that. I'm sure you would agree.
Yes.
But, like, my life is better without it. So I'll be damned if I'm going to go back. I'm not willing to go through the withdrawals, like what you said. Those were hell. I'm just not willing to sacrifice, like, everything that life has given me to this point since I got sober,
Yeah. Because you would lose it all real quick.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why some people, myself included, work in this field, is because, like, I want the accountability. I want to be surrounded by it. I want to be immersed in it. I don't want to be able to stop being sober. I don't want the option.
Right.
Because I'm scared. I'm scared of going back to that because I hated it. I hated that life.
I've come across heroin in our field. Like, people have brought it in, and to be able to, like, hold it and not do it is a miracle. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah. Like, it kind of, like, it's scary to me now.
This
little thing could ruin me.
Did it make you feel proud that, like, you were able to destroy it?
For sure.
Yeah.
And, like, like we said, there's real hard days, but I work through them. I also have, like, people I love, and I have a place, and I pay my bills, and I have the job that I work at. You could literally not pay me to go to my jobs earlier, My whole life was just drugs, and now I have things that I enjoy. My life is pretty good.
Sure.
And I don't want to let that go either. I also get to be there for my daughter. She's got her own struggles, like, she's 24, so 20, remember that age. It's chaos.
I can't remember that.
I mean, she's doing better than I was. But I can be there for her, which I wasn't there before. And that feels really good. I just never thought that my life would look like this. I was sure that I wouldn't make it to 40. I don't think I wanted to make it. I was pretty done with living. It was just dark. Like, I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live the life that I had. And if given the option, I would have taken death.
Sure.
It was awful.
Yeah. So you have almost 3 years. How do you stay sober today? I know that you go to meetings.
I have a sponsor.
Okay.
I'm working the steps. I have an amazing sponsor. She stuck with me through the relapses. So she's very good at spotting, like, the early signs. I miss them because I'm a slow learner, but she's great. She accepts that I'm a little chaotic. I don't call every day. I don't even call every week anymore. I'm supposed to. I get in a little trouble, but, at the end of the day, I didn't use. So she's okay with that for now.
Yep.
And then I'm doing the NA steps, so it's a lot of writing. I don't know if you've gone through that workbook.
Yep.
I didn't expect it. I should have done the AA steps because brevity is also not my strong point. So when I write an answer, like, it'll be a page and a half,
Sure.
and there's 78
I
questions.
remember.
Yeah, I made a mistake, but it's working. Like, it digs very, very deep, and some of it feels repetitive, but every question, like, you dig a little deeper.
Yep. I loved going through those steps. Like, my first full time through was through that workbook, and I loved it. Like, when I got done, I was so proud. And then, but I think I've shared about this. I remember I kept some stuff to myself. I was, especially the fourth step, I did not write everything down.
Yeah.
And I never planned to at that point, but we get there eventually.
There's some things that I hold close that I would have a hard time talking about or digging into. It's just tucked away somewhere.
Sure.
I'd rather not think about it. She knows that, though. Like, it's not the right choice, but it's the one I'm making for now.
Yeah. There's always tomorrow.
Yeah, I can do the steps again. Maybe next time. I will do the AA steps next time, though. So the meetings, the sponsors, the steps, I'm honest, and I try to keep my side of the street clean. I try and help everybody that I can. I try not to hurt anybody. I basically try to be the opposite of what I was.
So do you do the 10th on a daily basis? Like, do you, if let's say right now we got in an argument, before you go to bed tonight, do you think about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm quick to apologize.
Yeah.
I can see my part in things very quickly. I give people a lot of grace because I know I've reacted. I still react badly to things sometimes, but it's just, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. Things just come out, but I do apologize for them. I can get a little mouthy. I've been arrested a few times for it.
Sober?
Oh,
okay,
no.
good.
I haven't been arrested sober.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that works?
It is funny.
Uh-huh.
Like, now, even when I have police behind me, I'm like,
pull me over.
Yeah.
I was driving around with my wife, on many occasions, and I always hope that I get to go through a DUI checkpoint. I'm excited to go through them. I've only got to go through a couple in the last handful of years, but every time I do, I'm yeah, it makes me feel so good.
I just went through one a couple weeks ago.
How'd you do?
I did fine. They kind of just waved me through, but the whole time the anticipation was building. But it's weird. I'm registered. I'm insured. All the things. I'm good. You can search
adult.
my car. You're not going to find anything.
Yep.
There's nothing in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nice.
The things that we get to be proud of these days.
Not having drugs in your car.
Yeah. I've done
For
it.
sure. Yeah. And, back then going to jail and not being able to bring heroin, it's ugly. It's not pretty.
How many times have you been arrested and gone to jail? Do you know?
I think 4.
Okay.
Only one time did they really keep me. I got put on a mental health hold. I had to wait for psychiatric evaluation. And that took a long time. I was there for over 2 months.
Dang.
Yeah, on a misdemeanor.
Huh.
But the judge he was like, there's problems with this one.
Yeah.
I did fine. They released me almost as soon as I got the evaluation. But I was forced to get clean. So I did better than if I had done it the first day.
So working in treatment, I know we learn a lot. I think everyone that works here it's helped a lot of us stay sober. And I know it does for me. Mm-hmm. Is that something you experienced, getting to work with newcomers and getting to see people on their worst day? Does that help you stay sober?
Yes, it absolutely does. The job, every job is hard. This job gets hard, but I understand where they're at. And if I can help them in any way, I love it. It's also beautiful because we get them for about 30 days and you come in broken. And then through the 30 days, we kind of watch them come back to life and then we release them out into the world, usually to outpatient, but it's hard to let them go, but it's nice.
Sure.
It's like raising a bird and they're flying away.
Yeah. So over the last year, you've probably, I would guess 70 or so, probably more clients have gone through. Has it been hard to see the ones that relapse and go back, or the ones that just drop out and AMA and don't come back?
Yes.
Is that tough?
It is. And we've had a couple relapse and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
That's very hard.
Yep.
Because you're 30 days away from feeling better. But I understand where they're at. I wish like you could force people to stay, to want it, but you can't. So you just do what you can, hope for the best. Mm-hmm. It does break my heart when they AMA. I still think about most of the ones we have. Like one I know is okay. I wonder where they are, how they're doing, if they're safe, if they're like warm. Do they have a house?
Yeah, it's a tough job.
But having them come back is nice. Like I've told our clients, like we don't want you to have to come back, but if you have to come back, we want you,
Yep. It takes guts too to go back to the same facility and to like try it again. It takes guts.
Yeah.
Because I did it. I went to treat, and it wasn't because I had guts. It was because my parents made me.
Yeah.
But like, I went back to the same facility a second time, and it was embarrassing. And I was like, but that was me. That was the way I felt. Nobody there remembered me. It had been years. But I would like, my pride was like, you're back. Come on, man. And, nobody cared but me. And it kept me from completing. Like the second time I went back to treatment, I left AMA after like 7 days. And that didn't turn out so well. And shortly thereafter ended up in jail. But anyway, I'm always really proud of the people that like have a quick relapse or a long relapse and then come back to treatment, because that takes guts. And it's like kind of saying that, I don't care what anyone else thinks. I need this. I'm going to go back and try it again.
Yeah.
And I think it says a lot about, it's so common for people to relapse. They do it all the time. I mean, I probably did it 24 times maybe from the day that I honestly like started putting effort into getting sober. And then we see relapse all the time here at outpatient. We see it when people AMA from inpatient. It's not failure, it's just like, oh, that didn't work. Let's try it again this way.
Yeah.
And it's really sad that when people relapse and give up. I hate that, because it's just part of most of our story. Relapse is part of the process for most of us, like the vast majority.
Yeah, the people who relapse isn't a part of their story always impress me, that try it the first time and get it.
They're unicorns.
I'm proud of them. I wish I was like them, but it took me many tries. And I went to rehab, I kept leaving and coming back almost right away, because I felt what it was like to wake up and feel normal, but I didn't know how to function without drugs. Like I'd been on drugs my whole life, and I didn't know how to live without them.
Sure.
Like the feelings that come up, I didn't like the feelings. My anxiety came up, and I was like, I need to get rid of this feeling. I need to numb it. But I'd leave, and I couldn't live that life either. So I felt like I was stuck in limbo. Like I didn't know what to do until I finally just gave up and stayed. But then the feeling that like I had no choice did fade away. I wanted the way that I felt. I wanted to be better. It's a choice every day to do better and to feel better. It's not easy at all, but it's better than what it was. I would take this any day.
You said earlier that you have, you still think about it sometimes. And
yeah,
I do too. And I think that's normal. I still have dreams about it sometimes. Like I'll dream that I'm going to the Connect's house or I'm waiting in a parking lot for the guy to come meet me and to do the exchange and, all the crap we used to do. And when I wake up, like I feel such relief. Like it's like a nightmare, because when I wake up, for a second there, I'm like, oh shit, did I use?
Yes.
Wait, that was a dream. Life is good, and I like feel such relief. Do you ever have dreams about it too?
Yeah, when I first got clean, I'd have dreams and I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh, I wish that was real. And then at some point it did change, and I feel like when it changed is the same time that like I changed, because I'd feel horror. In my dreams, I was usually hiding drugs in my house. And then when I woke up, I'd have to go look and see if I actually did that. I never did, but it's weird how vivid they are, the dreams.
Sure.
And I agree with the relief. It was nice to know I didn't throw it all away.
Yep.
But it's in our nature to use. So yeah, I think about it, but I can also like play the tape through.
Yeah.
I know what it's going to look like. And I did like think of how many hours we spent in parking lots. Like I've wasted years in parking lots. I've bought people houses, like it's sick. It is sick.
The financial part is hard to wrap my head around too.
Yeah. I have this app that like counts how much money I've saved during my clean time. Like, and you have to put in how much you'd spend a day. And I went like minimal, like on a bad day. And I've saved like $100 and something thousand. And I'm like, that I could own a house. But the thing is, I didn't have a job for most of that. So like,
yeah. So you think about like where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was never good.
Yeah.
My hustles were not pretty. I made a lot of bad choices out of desperation. I got in cars with people that I don't know. I would follow strange men into alleys, and it was insane. It truly is insanity.
Yeah, for sure. Anything to get that feeling and to not be sick, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, you almost have 3 years, so
I do.
It's getting like farther and farther back in the past when we had to live like that for both of us, right?
Yes.
So you should be proud of that.
I am pretty proud of that.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I know Yannick and the whole team at our inpatient love working with you. I don't know if they tell you this enough, and I'm sure Yannick probably does. She's pretty good about giving appreciation where it's due, but we're really proud to have you on our team. We love working with you. Thank you for coming on Into Action this month. Love you. That's it.
I love you too. I love the job. It's the first job I've had that I've wanted to go to work, and I felt good about the work. And
sure,
I think this job probably changed my life because I was clean, but I was stuck. I didn't know what to do. I was sitting on my couch every day and trying to sleep through life. And then Kenny was like, "Here, there's a job opening." And then I went and did the worst interview ever. I had a terrible resume,
Yannick?
and she said, "Yeah." She's like, "Where are these gaps in your resume?" And I was honest in an interview for the first time ever. And I just told her, like, I had jobs, but I quit them. I'd always quit before you figured out that I was loaded.
Yeah.
So I'd get a couple paychecks and take off. Yeah.
How dare you think
I might be doing
firing
heroin
me?
in the bathroom, but
I did the same thing. I'd always quit before I got fired. We're so sneaky.
Yeah, just stop showing up. Usually. I didn't tell them I was leaving. I just left. And this opportunity changed everything. And like the people that I work with have become like my second family. We have a great team. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the chance. I appreciate you letting me come and talk to you. I love you too.
All right. Thanks, Kori.
Thank you.